The Pittsburgh Steelers can't seem to get enough Porters or Junior S in their secondary, so why not add another? On Monday, NFL insider Aaron Wilson reported that the Steelers have signed defensive back Darrell Porter Jr. following a successful workout. Porter, an undrafted rookie in the 2025 class, played his first 2 college seasons at West Virginia before spending the past 3 years with the Miami Hurricanes. The cornerback logged 49 games played in college, but recorded just 1 career interception. Now the UDFA finds himself with an unforeseen opportunity in a loaded Steelers secondary. This cornerback roster addition comes in the wake of a hamstring injury to former 7th-round draft pick Corey Trice Jr., an injury that Mike Tomlin notes will keep him out for a while. Porter will look to learn from players like Joey Porter Jr., Darius Slay, and Jalen Ramsey as he faces the ultimate uphill battle for a roster spot. Darrell Porter Jr. is a long shot to crack the Pittsburgh Steelers' 53-man roster in 2025. Not every summer acquisition is made with the hope of a final roster spot in mind. As players go down with injuries, the Pittsburgh Steelers must fill the void. In this case, it's Darrell Porter Jr. who's stepping into a no-win scenario. Even after Trice's injury, the Steelers have a deep cornerback room and will be forced to make some difficult cuts. Joey Porter Jr., Slay, and Ramsey are all roster locks, while veteran Brandon Echols is likely to make the team after earning a 2-year contract this offseason. After that, Beanie Bishop Jr. and James Pierre will be fighting tooth and nail to stick around in 2025, and if Trice can get healthy and back on the field, he could earn one of the final spots on the depth chart. Darrell Porter would need a phenomenal showing early in camp and a tremendous preseason to even put his name in for consideration for a spot on the 53-man roster. His best path is that he plays well enough to warrant a spot on the practice squad and could eventually be called to the active roster if injuries strike in 2025. Porter stands at 5 feet 11 inches and 184 pounds with 4.58 speed and overall poor athletic testing, so he doesn't even have the physical tools worth betting on. Keep your expectations low with this signing. The Pittsburgh Steelers are built around their defense. That's nothing new. Even during the dynasty era of the 1970s, the steel curtain was a defining feature. Some of the greatest players to play in Pittsburgh were on the defensive side of the ball. And that mentality of having a dominant defense continues to this day. Head coach Mike Tomlin wants to build a dominant defense. But as much as the Steelers' defense helps the team be competitive during the regular season, they've struggled to rise to the occasion in the playoffs. Former NFL QB Dan Orlovsky mentioned that the Steelers are averaging 38.8 points allowed per game in their last 5 playoff appearances, all losses. And Mina Kimes thinks she knows what the issue is. If this defense doesn't get better at defending motion, it's dead on arrival against the best offenses in the league, Kimes said on Monday's episode of NFL Live. This was a huge problem against the Baltimore Ravens. It was a huge problem all season long. They were a bottom 5 unit in success rate when offenses used motion. When offenses didn't use motion, they were just outside the top 10. What's the problem with motion? Well, it can force defenders to move around a lot pre-snap to travel with the player they're covering. And, depending on timing, that can lead to a player being out of position at the snap. It can also pull players out of certain spots that the offense wants to attack. In the run game, if an offense can motion players out and pull linebackers out of the box, it makes running the ball much easier. But why is motion such a problem for the Steelers' defense? Former Steelers' Ryan Clark thinks it's because the Steelers' offense doesn't feature much motion at all. First thing is, they don't practice against it a lot, Clark said. How often have we come in here and talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers offense being an offense that motions all of the time? So you don't get to see it in practice. If you're the Los Angeles Rams, you see it all the time. If you're the San Francisco 49ers, you see it all the time. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, an offense that's mostly stagnant, it's difficult to get those reps. The Steelers haven't had a top-tier defense in quite a while. They've lacked talent and diversity in their schemes. That includes pre-snap motion and motion at the time of the snap. And if your offense during training camp and in-season practices isn't using much motion at all, your defense isn't used to working against it on the field. Ahead of the Super Bowl between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs, Sportico.com looked at the matchup through the lens of motion. In 2024, the Steelers had a player in motion at the snap only 16% of the time, the fifth lowest rate among all 32 teams. The Eagles led the league at 56%. And the Baltimore Ravens, who ran all over the Steelers' defense in the playoffs, had a player in motion at the snap on 30% of their plays, the ninth highest rate in 2024. No wonder the Steelers struggled against the Ravens. So, how do the Steelers fix the issue of defending motion? Well, a big part of it is communication. Players have to recognize what's going on and communicate with each other. Communication was a huge problem for the Steelers last year. It's a problem the defense is addressing during camp, according to LB Peyton Wilson. But if you believe Ryan Clark, that issue won't be truly fixed until the Steelers get on board with using motion on offense. If the Pittsburgh Steelers are viewing 2025 as a Super Bowl or bust-type season and want to stay true to the all-in strategy they've adopted this offseason, perhaps there's one more splash move left on the table. Dallas Cowboys edge rusher Micah Parsons requested a trade late last week, and while the likeliest outcome is that the two sides agree to terms on a record-setting extension that would surpass TJ Watt's 3-year, $123 million contract that he signed with Pittsburgh last month, there's also a world in which things go sideways. The Steelers aren't among the teams who need any additional pass rushers or necessarily would want to exhaust their assets by acquiring one, but there may be some wiggle room left to do so if they think landing Parsons is in the cards. Steelers Wire's Andrew Vasquez drew up a mock trade between Pittsburgh and Dallas that would send edge rusher Alex Highsmith second-round picks in 2026 and 2027, as well as a 2027 seventh-rounder to the Lone Star State for Parsons. The price to pay is undoubtedly steep, but there's no question the Steelers would boast an even more devastating pass rush with All-Pro DT Cameron Hayward on the interior and the edge rush duo of Parsons and former 2021 Defensive Player of the Year TJ Watt, Vasquez wrote.